Hey soldiers, you will accept the message or you will become an economic pariah. That is the mantra of large corporations, governments around the world, non-governmental organizations, and the media. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is how do we maintain our sovereignty, economic and otherwise, as the power structure works hard to establish a new era of economic totalitarianism. Your economy will be canceled if you say the wrong thing on social media. Large corporations will prevent you from banking or speaking if you engage in wrongthink. Today we're going to talk about how we push back against this Orwellian nightmare and maintain our financial sovereignty. You might be asking yourself, how do we push back against this Orwellian nightmare and maintain our control over our economic destiny, over our destiny in general? Well, I'm glad you asked. The establishment of central bank digital currencies, as I said a moment ago, would be the start of an era of economic and general totalitarianism, the likes of which human society has never, ever seen. CBDCs are bad news, and we're going to talk about how you need to set up your own independent economy to break free of what these powers that be have in store for us. So what's the CBD all about? We've talked about it extensively, but if you want to see it in action, if you want to see the results of it in action, just look at China and their social credit score. And actually, the UK is starting to establish aspects of that right now. You say the wrong thing on social media over in the UK, and you don't have to worry about getting put in Facebook jail. You might get put in real jail. They might knock at your door and have a discussion with you because you're engaging in wrongthink. How dare you? You don't have a right to think as you see fit. You have to think in terms of what the state and the large corporations allow and accept.
We have what we call, cancel culture, man. And if you do something wrong, you're supposed to be out of here. And it could have been 5 minutes ago, or it could have been 20, 30 years ago.
Now, as for the CBDCs, they allow governments to track and control every single dime that you earn, save, or spend. According to Zero Hedge, they're a powerful tool for politicians to confiscate and redistribute wealth as they see fit. Absolutely. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. And if you're about to, we've covered all of these banks that are giving people a lot of hassle about withdrawing their money. Okay, I even told you the incident that I had. Do you really think that they're going to need to be accountable to you at all when everything is just purely electronic? It's controlled by the Fed and there is nothing to withdraw. Okay? Look at what just happened to Kanye West. We covered it extensively. He has been separated from his banking relationship with JP Morgan because they didn't like what he had to say. Now, let's think of some people that have been canceled here lately. Andrew Tate, of course, Kanye West. We've got before them, Louis Farrakhan has said some things that people don't like, and he has been canceled by and large from social media. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't like any of these people. How about Trump? He's another one. A lot of lightning rod. You either love him or you hate him. So you might be thinking, I don't really care for any of these people. Those are the very people that you should be standing up for in terms of their ability to be able to express themselves. You should be, if you believe in free speech, those are the people that you should be defending because free speech really isn't tested until it's unpopular. Okay. Now, another thing that the Fed will be able to do with CBDCs is they'll be able to go into the negative in terms of interest rates because they won't need to really control inflation by raising interest rates anymore. All they'll have to do is simply just debit money, well, and not debit, but, throttle your account and make it impossible for you to access money or put a limit on the amount of money you're able to access. That's coming, ladies and gentlemen. They're talking about it actively at the Fed, at the Department of the Treasury, and in Congress as we speak. And if you thought that was something, try this one on for size, a programmable central bank digital currency. A programmable CBDC could basically just not allow you to spend money in places that large corporations or the government don't want you spending money. You're interested in buying a new firearm maybe or some ammunition? You're not going to do that because we won't allow you to spend your central bank digital currency in that way. How about alcohol? Now, you've had a little too much for this month. Gasoline. Oh, you're way over your carbon footprint. So, no, we're going to restrict you from being able to buy that until, a certain amount of time has passed. That's a programmable CBDC. What about one that expires? Yeah, you can have money that expires. We just saw that in the UK where they expired certain banknotes and said, look, they're just not going to be good anymore. And if you don't bring them in and exchange them for this new polymer note, then yep, shame on you. Too bad. You just lost. You just lost your money. We don't care that you went out and broke your back trying to earn it. So what? So bring them in by this date or lose it. So yes, an expiration date on your money, like a frequent flyer mile or a coupon, it can expire. That's the power of a CBDC. Now, there's an aspect of this article that is extremely just right on point. It says the CBDCs are, without a doubt, an instrument of enslavement. They represent a quantum leap backward in human freedom. Of course they do, because we will be giving a small group of individuals with an agenda the power to control our every move in life via our money. And I, for one, am not up for that. The good news, though, is we can do something about this. So what is there to do? Well, for starters, we can take back control. Look at what happened again with Kanye West. Two things with him that are very instructive. Number one, they banned him from Twitter. So what did he do? Well, he has the money to go out and buy Parler. He announced that he's buying his own social media platform. Now, I know that may be well beyond the capabilities of most of us, but hooray for him. And I'm not even a big Kanye West fan, but I am a huge fan of freedom of expression, even if I think that expression is unpopular or it's something that I particularly do not personally care for. Now, the other thing that Kanye West has done here is he has been canceled from JP Morgan. So when that sort of thing happens, of course, you have to find a new institution to bank with. One of the things that we can do, learning from that, is to minimize our exposure to the banks in the first place, which the big banks are partners with the Federal Reserve. They are shareholders in the Federal Reserve Bank, and they play by those rules. Now, your local credit union may not. Credit unions are typically not controlled by the Fed. You can ask questions and find out how your credit union is arranged. Usually they are owned by the members of that credit union. So take a look at a credit union as an alternative to the big banking institutions. Now, I'm not saying that that'll be a long-term solution, but again, we've got to be nimble. This is not something we're writing in stone that's going to be immortalized forever. Things change, and we're going to have to change with them if we are interested in maintaining our freedom, economic and otherwise. Now, the first way that we're going to take a look at opting out of the system economically and wresting back more control for ourselves from the powers that be is physical gold and silver. Now, gold, of course, is something that maintains its value over the long term, and we can use that for large transactions. The United States government, for now at least, does issue gold coins, gold eagles in 1 ounce, 1/10 ounce, 1/4 ounce, and 1/2 ounce sizes. And so all you need to do is find someone who agrees to transact in gold or silver, and that's not hard to do. Set up a relationship with them to do just that. Okay, it may sound heretical, it may sound far-fetched, simply because we've gone our whole lives using plastic or greenbacks. Okay, but there are other forms of value, and gold has been actual money, not currency, for thousands of years. So that's one way that you can start to diversify away from just this one standard way of transacting, using gold and silver to do so. Now, There is some merit to taking a look at cryptocurrencies for the purpose of exchanging value and prosecuting transactions. I am still not understanding the whole way that you can make money. It seems extremely volatile. On Saturdays, we put up the live stream of the cryptos as they change hands, and they're up and down, and that's fine. Okay, if somebody can make money with that, that's fine. But if you have a method by which you are comfortable with using a cryptocurrency for a unit of exchange with another party, if you guys agree to doing that, then do it. Now, there is a lot of volatility that if I take Bitcoin in exchange for a service or a product from you, I've got to turn that into gold, silver, or something as soon as possible, because I could be in a situation where you just paid me the equivalent of $20,000 for my services, and then Bitcoin dropped significantly, and I waited a day and I really ended up only getting paid $10,000. So that's a problem. So you really have to dig into that and see if there is any application of you using cryptocurrencies for transactions. If there are, it may be another alternative. Now, the truth of the matter is if you resist using CBDCs altogether, then what that's going to mean is that there will be some aspects of society that you will be locked out from. If you take an approach where you're going to use some CBDCs in order to make transactions for bills and the occasional trip to Home Depot and things like that, then okay, that may work to keep you able to move around society more easily in the way that society is arranged. But never forget, there are people in our society, groups within our society, who we could take a lesson from at this point. The Amish, in particular, they've been living outside of the mainstream system for quite some time and doing rather well as well. With how they prosecute their lives and how they live their lives. I have an Amish associate who built a building on our property, and I tell you what, they're not missing a beat. They look like they're pretty healthy. They're getting what they have in terms of nutrition. They're running businesses. They're doing okay. So it is possible to step outside of the system and live quite productively, even though you may not be a full participant in it. So along those lines, one of the things that the Amish are great at doing is they're great at really maximizing the benefits of their local communities. You've got to get to know people who will trade with you in gold and silver. Get to know people who will create things that you may need or repair things you may need for something other than the greenback or the central bank digital currency. A good kind of proving ground is to say, okay, if we're trading right now, before we have a CBDC, if we're trading in something other than the greenback right now, it's a safe bet that person's on the same page with you and doesn't want anything to do with the CBDC and will continue to trade with you once that technology has come to the fore. Now, money and currency do make things easier to trade, because if we want to get into trading value for value, and that is something that you can take a look at, but I may not necessarily need the value that you provide at the time that we want to make a transaction. So let's say, I provide plumbing services, okay, and you provide car repair services. Now, we could trade value for value if my car needs repair now or in the future. It'd be a little risky to push it off into the future because you could move, something could happen to you, and then I wouldn't be able to redeem my part of the value. But to the extent that that's something you can look at, value trade for value trade is another way that you can step outside of the system. Now, the bottom line, people, is you've got to become as self-sufficient as you possibly can, okay? You've got to be able to eat without the government being able to step in and say, oh, you didn't take this particular medication, so we're gonna throttle your account for a while until you get your mind right and you decide to do what the hell we told you to do. Okay, so you're not going to be able to spend your little money at the grocery store to feed yourself and your family until you resolve the situation. So you want to be as self-sufficient as you possibly can. Now, no one besides Bruce Wayne, a Batman story, Bruce Wayne can do anything, okay? But, that's not reality. No one's going to be able to care for every need. If you have a need for dentistry, well, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to do that for yourself. Even if you're a dentist, even if you're a surgeon, you're not going to be taking out your own appendix. So there will be a need for trade. So I guess at the end of the day, we're going to have a toe into that system, but a toe is all we need because we don't want to expose ourselves fully to a system that could cancel us at any time, anywhere, for any reason that they see fit. It's going to work like these terms and conditions on YouTube and Twitter and all these other places. It's a moving target, okay? And you didn't even read the terms and conditions anyway. If you see terms and conditions to operate your new iPhone and it's like a book, imagine what the government's going to write when they write the rules about you being able to use your own money under a CBDC. All right, speaking of self-sufficiency, check out this video. Food shortages, why are they happening? What do we need to do about it? Check the video out, learn more. Guys, you got to be as self-sufficient as possible in this new economy, in this new environment. We got to stay on the road to financial independence for ourselves, for our family. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.